All right, here we are. Impact and Influence Radio right here on iHeart. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Blinds of Sacramento, Sacramento's complete solution window covering experts. Give them a call, 916-790-8689. Now, today we're hanging out here with Michael Huckleberry. How you doing, my friend?
I'm well, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. First, I want to thank you so much for two things, actually. Coming out to our open house. Was that the last one or the one before that?
It would have been like about 3 weeks ago. That
4 weeks. Yeah, so that would be the last one, yes. Thank you for coming out to that. We have another one next Wednesday. Hope you make it.
I just bought my ticket. So
killer.
I'm reserved.
And then I want to thank you for inviting me to Gold Star.
Yeah.
To your Il Forno Classico. You know, my best friend owns that restaurant.
I saw that. I saw you talking to him.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Man. Small world.
Yeah. So we use, in fact, I shot a lot of their video a number of years ago. You know, they've owned that like 40 years. They've owned that restaurant.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Has it been there?
It's been there that long.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've lived in Rancho all my life too. That's crazy.
Yeah. So they also own Il Forno, Pizzeria Classico in Folsom.
Okay.
702 Sutter Street, right there on the corner. And we shoot our movies, a lot of our movie scenes there. So all of our restaurant scenes from the first through the fourth movie we shot at the Pizzeria Classico.
Oh man, he must love that.
And so also there's a staff member at Il Forno Classico. He works at both. He works at Il Forno and Pizzeria Classico. Domingo, wonderful guy, but he was one of our subjects that we murdered in one of our episodes.
Oh man, that sounds fun though.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
We killed him and locked him in the walk-in freezer.
Classic Italian,
right?
Yeah, it's
right?
great. I like it.
All right, so we're going to be talking about Web Spinner CEO or SEO and what that is, and of course what you do. So tell me, what is it that you do, my brother?
We help businesses to market themselves online and to find customers using digital means. A lot of that is going to be, is your website good? Is it a modern looking website? Does it is it going to help you to attract customers? If you have a website and you've paid to get people to that website, it should be converting for you pretty well.
Absolutely.
And so for most people, once someone has arrived on the website, they don't always have a great way of tracking who, what they've done. And if I'm honest, most people only stay on websites for maybe less than a minute. Mm-hmm. So you've got their attention for 60 seconds. You need to do what you can to get them to convert. So what I do is I focus on making sure that, for instance, forms are on every single page. I like to locate them at the top first and foremost. So no matter where you are on the website, there's always a form presented to you to fill in. I do focus on, have a live chat feature in each page too. So that way, if you get to the bottom of the page and you try to exit, this live chat feature can, see your customers doing that and reach out to them. Hey, do you have any questions before you go? Can I help you? Can I,
Do you want a form to fill out on every single website, or is it a certain type of website? We're going to get back into that demographic conversation.
Yeah. For the most part, I would say, if it's selling a product, I wouldn't necessarily put a form in there because it's not,
makes sense.
You're looking for a checkout,
Yeah.
So, but I would probably put something like some sort of deal. If we're running buy $40, get free shipping or something like that. So it depends on the deal you got going. I might run something like that on each page or the pages I feel like are the big money pages. But for services, this is mostly like your home services, contractors and stuff like that. People who rely on getting those leads.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
If you
you want to build that database.
Absolutely. And you're trying to convert those leads. Every single page always be converting. You know what I mean? So that's what I look for in that. And that does tend to work, even my pages that I have, put the forms on the top of each of those pages, they do tend to convert a lot better than a website that has just a contact page and the form is on the contact page. Mm-hmm. Now you're hoping that your user is going to navigate from your home page, maybe to your services page, maybe then to your contact page and fill it out. You got them for 60 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. If that. Yeah.
So always be collecting that information. And there's how many times, if you're maybe searching for, you got an emergency, maybe you have a leak in your roof or something like that, or your plumbing's broken or something and you need someone right away. I don't care what the rest of your website says. I just want someone to contact, so to be able to just land them on the page and right away, here's a form you can fill out. And if you want to learn more about me, there's more below, but here's a chance for you to give me that information. And
how long have you been doing this?
I've owned the company for about 7 years. And, in that time, when I first started out, it was just sort of a thing to help out some contractor buddies of mine who were just looking for a website. And, I wanted to do the business right. So I formed an LLC, and I was able to, run the money through that and everything. And it was good. I'd never really ran a business before. So there was a lot of things I didn't know, but it was mostly I had customers and they needed my product, but I didn't have the business experience. So
you realize you're a natural at this, right?
I hope so.
No, seriously. So I didn't tell you this part. I launched my first web design business in 1998. That was when I started picking up clients as building websites for people. That's where everything started is that. I was still in high school.
Yeah.
And, there's a rule of thumb. The I reads in a Z pattern, and you've got to have certain things, and everything needs to happen within 3 clicks. And there's, the rule of thumbs. And then you've got the whole SEO piece, the Googles, and the make sure that your the bottom of your website has the proper date on it, and, the little things.
Yeah.
But the form piece, I think, is something that is so missed.
Oh yeah.
We go through we're literally going through every single website on the Better Business Bureau, one by one by one, and cataloging each of those businesses. You know how
tedious
that is.
Yes.
And we've done this 20,000 times so far. And when we're looking at these businesses, first of all, half these websites don't work.
Right.
And then so a lot of them take forever to load. They take so long to load sometimes that we'll open up 4 or 5 other websites before that website actually opens. Actually loads.
Yeah.
So clearly they have some problems.
Absolutely.
And then from there, my biggest gripe. Here's my biggest gripe, and I'm talking directly to you if you were one of them. You're a business, yet your email address on your website is a Gmail.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Huge no-no.
Yeah.
Huge no-no.
There's no reason not to have a branded email address.
Well, not only that, the AI filters in Gmail, if it suspects that it's business related and you don't have a G Suite account, it's going to filter all of that, not into your junk, but into oblivion. It just disappears from you ever log into your email and then there's a couple of emails and then they disappear and you don't know where they go?
Sure.
They're gone.
Yeah.
That's the AI filter, and how many businesses are losing deals.
Right.
Because they don't want to spend another 3 minutes and $4 a month to get a real email account?
Sure.
Weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And there's plenty of ways also to use email advantageously to help you communicate with your customers. So you can have one email just for me. I got like Mike at Web Spinner SEO, but I also have Webmaster at Web Spinner SEO, which sends email to my Mike at Web Spinner SEO email address, and then another, just another one, info, and all these other ones. So people think, you can be bigger than you are, but you're only one person running all of them.
We talked about that earlier, increasing your perceived value.
Exactly.
It's very important for a small business owner to look like a bigger business. You have to look like a bigger business, and there's so many things. Shooting video, you can use AI. You don't even have to shoot video anymore. Yeah, but it doesn't look like me. Now it does. Yeah, but it doesn't sound like me. Now it does. There's so many tools out there to make you look and feel like the big company.
Yeah.
And there's no excuse now.
Yeah.
There really is no excuse.
Yeah.
Especially with Impact and Influence magazine, putting you inside a big platform like that. And we can get you on billboards.
Oh man. There's so much value, I think, in that too. Like you said, we were talking about earlier, the brand recognition is so important. People, they're not buying on the spot, but they will look later. And it's about repeating this message again and again. You have the logo on the billboard, you have the logo in the magazine, and then when the time comes, when someone actually needs a thing, the first thing they're going to do, they don't care about what the billboard said, and they're not going to open the magazine. They're going to go to Google. And they're going to search Google, and they're going to find you. And if they see your brand again in their brain, and they've seen it 3 times now, you know what I mean?
Why is Ethan Conrad? This is actually this will prove the point 100%. Why is Ethan Conrad the go-to in town for commercial real estate? Why? Because his sign was in front of every single property that he touched. Mm-hmm. That's it. Mm-hmm. And who's his lawyer defending him in all of his legal nonsense? Ann Fong. Something Wong, call Ann Fong. That's literally what her ad says. That is literally, and she's on every single billboard. And why is she on every single billboard? Because clearly she's got the money to pay for those billboards.
Right.
But the point is it's the branding.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, we saw the billboard. Every kid, you know, Blinds of Sacramento, our sponsor, Jessica I was just talking to her the other day, and she says her kid was 3 years old and going, "Hey, look, mommy, it's you on the thing." No, that's Ann Fong. Now she's old enough to know that that's Ann Fong and not Jessica Clavedia from Blinds of Sacramento. The point is that the kids know who Ann Fong is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yep.
You just have to put yourself out there. You have to look big if you're going to ever want to be there. They say fake it until you make it. You just have to make it.
Yes. And, you know, but all that, it does circle back though to, again, I got to circle back to the website, because all of that does is it creates this idea of who it is that is going to be recognized in that decision-making moment. They're still going to have to go to Google. They're still going to be like, okay, I need an attorney. And Ann Fong is probably investing in Google as well, is going to have her ad front and center.
That's I'm not going to call Joe Reed, whoever that guy is. Right. I'm going to go to the one that is the one. Ethan Conrad is literally using Ann Fong. I'm thinking to myself, there's a million attorneys in this town.
Yeah.
But he went to her. If he went to her, I'm going to her. That's the point.
Yeah. And it also is, you know, you've spent all this money outside of your website to capture this lead. This lead starts at a billboard. This lead starts at a magazine. This lead starts at the first impressions that they get of your business. Where it ends is they've given you information.
Yeah.
Right. How have you captured that information? How have you taken them and converted them into actually someone there? And that's, you know, that's where I kind of, all roads lead back to the website to me.
Yes.
That's where you capture that information.
The website is the most important part. And I say it's, you know, let's say that you build, let's say you're in New York, okay, and you build a great little pizzeria in an alleyway, and you don't put a sign out in front. It's just the door, right? Mm-hmm. Who's going to walk into that pizzeria?
No. Yeah,
Nobody.
No.
They have no interest in it, right? They have no reason to.
Right.
Your website's the same thing.
Yes.
You know, yeah, you can have the Google page, and yeah, you can have this and you can have that. But if you don't have a digital business card, a reason for people to look into who you are, and the whole SEO element, you're never going to land on Google ever without a website.
No, that's true. You know, honestly, I was talking to an attorney, and she was actually kind of a bit terrified recently of, she recently learned that a lot of people get sued based on what's on their website. Not just that they're saying the wrong thing, but ADA compliance, for instance. You remember the Squeeze In Sacramento? That got shut down, right, for ADA reasons. Same thing happens to websites. If I go to a website and let's say the contrast, so you have let's say you got a light color background and a light color text. Someone can come in and say, hey, that light on light, I can't see that real well. Are you trying to screw with me? Are you trying to fool me into something? Like, do I not? And they'll sue you for that. Yeah. And if you don't know enough about it, you know, you can have punitive damages for that. Yeah. So to fix, you know, that's one of the things I offer is obviously ADA, you know, analysis of your website. Whenever I make websites, I make sure they pass several ADA checkers. So that way, if you ever do get sued, at least your attorney has something to stand on. You know, here's 3 different ADA checkers. We've gone ahead and, you know, there's always something someone can find, but these 3 all say pass. So we did our due diligence. You know, it's about protecting yourself too, because there's a lot of people who will, you know, if you're attracting that sort of attention, they think you have money and they might want to mess with you just because of that too. So, you know, you have to protect yourself in a lot of ways too, but you also have to make yourself very inviting, you know, and there's a good way to make form and style kind of work together, you know, to make sure you're doing all the right things, but you also look very stylish. And, you know, I specialize in a lot of that.
What kind of clients do you work with?
For me, I work with a lot of contractors, a lot of people who need those conversions, a lot of people who need people to run to push their business forward. So, you know, you're going to see roofers, plumbers, landscapers, electricians, and stuff like that. In fact, one of my first services that I ever ran, I made an electrician's website. I didn't have an electrician contractor. So the leads would come in and I would sell them to electricians and stuff.
That's right.
And then I would tell them.
You and my story are so much alike in the sense that you're a natural born entrepreneur. I mean.
And then I tell them, hey, I got it from this website. I can sell you this website. And then I would just brand the website. I'd keep my own website up still and just give them a copy of the website and basically, here you go.
Where did your I'm losing this last question, but where did your entrepreneurial journey start? Where did you realize that you had the entrepreneurial it factor?
Oh man, I hated this job too. I sold cars.
Where
and, out in Roseville, and then out in Folsom. And I only did it for about 6 months.
Where at in Folsom?
Folsom Toyota.
Okay.
And then Folsom Ford was where I sold. Well, I first started at Folsom GMC, so I was selling $70,000-$80,000 Denali's.
That's where I bought my little Buick.
Yeah, they're actually, I like the GMC cars. They were great, and the Denali was crazy. I loved it.
Yeah.
They ended up, that dealership ended up getting bought out by another company, and they got folded into Cadillac. But from there, I went to Ford, and I thought, hey, let's sell a bunch of Fords because they were selling like hotcakes, certainly more than GMCs were. But ultimately it didn't really matter because you had more salesmen out there too, and I was always kind of middle of the road with this stuff. But I remember that I just enjoyed kind of talking to people. I enjoyed telling them about stuff. I didn't know a lot about cars, but I did enjoy taking the time to sort of, I don't know, be in that moment with that person when they're making that big decision. It could be an exciting thing for them. And so I like that. I like the idea that I could, affect a change in their life and stuff like that. And, the product was always tough, and it was always really interesting.
I sold Dodges and Nissans.
Oh man. Yeah. Did you have to do phone ups and stuff like that?
I loved that.
Yeah.
I wrote the Cold Call King book series.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when I was in mortgages, I slayed on phones. I was always good on phones. And it's changed so much. Nobody answers their phone anymore. But no, I enjoyed that part. I didn't like the ups. I didn't like to actually. I didn't like the sit downs. Yeah. It was just.
I had a phone call come in once, and we had a script. So, basically they announce over the intercom, hey, there's a phone call, and you see like 10 salesmen immediately take off. Run. Yeah. I just happened to be by the phone when that was going over. Oh, that's like 3 steps away, and I pick up the phone. This is Mike, how can I help you?
What I did was I took so you're either going to look at this and go, you're a complete idiot or you're a complete genius. So I didn't take ups at all. I didn't want any leads from you guys at all. Okay. Like I wanted nothing. All I would do is I would take pictures of all of the used cars in the morning, and I'd put them all on Craigslist with my phone number. And then I would call people that were selling their cars, offering to buy their cars. Yeah. And then I would go into finance, and I would ask for all of the dead deals from finance over the last 6 months, everyone that was disqualified for a deal.
Okay.
And that's what I did in mortgage too. And in both places, I was always number one because the deal was already there. I already had their social. I already had their workplace. I already had everything.
Right.
We had a DTI issue, or we had a FICO issue, and I could look at it and go, "You're a 560 FICO." Okay. So I call them up and I go, "Hey, this is just customer service liaison from Folsom Nissan. Just wanted to." Reach out to you. You'd come in a few months ago. You were looking at this, that, or the other. Were you still interested in purchasing a vehicle? I might be able to make this application work. I would just ask them 2 or 3 simple questions. And if I knew there was a deal there, you know what? Let's get you back in. And what I would do is I would schedule all of my appointments on my days off.
Oh, man. So you lived at the dealership.
Well, no. So I would take my days off.
Okay.
So that when I would come in, because I told you I didn't like sitting at the booth. I hated the up one-on-one. I hated it.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would come into work from my days off. It would be like 6 deals on the board because all my appointments came in and everyone closed all my deals. So I got the back halves.
Oh, I see.
I got all the back halves, the initiation.
Right. Yeah.
And so I did the same thing with the mortgage when I went over to Paramount Equity. all I did was I would pull up the old 1003s and I'd look and see who was disqualified. And if there was a FICO issue, a lot of times they had a DTI. Most turndowns in mortgage was DTI. So, they had bought a new Toyota Tacoma and they had a $700 payment. And, now I can call them and say, hey, have you had, got a pay increase? Did you get those credit cards paid off? Do you still have the Tacoma? Yeah, we have the Tacoma, but we sold the Ford Escape. Killer. Now that payment's gone. Now there's a deal. Mm-hmm. And then I would just transfer that deal right over to a loan officer, and boom, it was we slayed it. We killed it.
Yeah.
But we were just a little smarter than everyone else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you just followed up. You followed up the deal that was there. Yeah.
The deals were there already.
But I remember sitting in a BDC, so Business Development Center, and man, it's like really like 20 guys in a trailer, and they're just sitting at a kiosk and a desk, and they hand you a stack of papers. Here's all the old deals from the last 5 years. People who have bought cars from, call and see if they're ready to buy again. I hated that. So
that I would love.
Really?
Oh my God, I would love that.
Oh man, I had a hard time converting those people, but it
it's
taught me
so
how to sell,
easy.
but...
It's so easy. It's so easy. Hi, Joanne. Yes, this is Mike over at Folsom Nissan. I'm just a customer service liaison. Just wanted to ask you how your experience was when you purchased your new vehicle. And they're like, oh, it was wonderful, or it wasn't great. Oh my gosh, that's awesome, or oh, that's not. Oh, okay, so you've had the car now for, looks like a couple of years. Are you keeping up with your services? Oh yeah, but the car's not, it's, my kids are doing soccer now, and we don't have enough room. Oh my gosh, we're giving top dollar on these right now. I've got a $7,000 rebate on an F-150. I could probably get you into this for close, if not less than your payment that you're making. It's a simple deal.
I would agree with that. I think a lot of my problem came from
the script.
Well, there's a script, but it came from
the script is the biggest problem.
The time frame I was doing it was just after it was in 2008 and 2009. So the economy was just collapsing.
That was when I had my Ferrari business and everyone was losing their cars.
Well, the thing is, so many people, if you're losing your car, they didn't want to give you another one necessarily, but so many people were buried in their vehicles.
Yeah. Remember the Mitsubishis?
Oh yeah.
Oh, 0%. Yes.
4 years or something like that.
Yeah, it was like no payments for 2 years or 3 years, 0% interest for the first year, and it was horrible, and no money out of pocket. These people, every one of those were repossessed, dude.
Yeah,
every single Mitsubishi was, and you wonder why you don't see them anymore. They're all gone.
Yeah,
nobody would ever buy one again.
Yeah, that was such a bad idea. That screwed so many people. But back then too, before the collapse in 2008, there people were refinancing their houses, cash out refinancing, and they would come to Ford, and here's like $80,000 for that Ford Lightning.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like here we go.
Yeah.
And then a couple years later, they're like, oh, I lost my job, or things turned. And now it's like I still owe $60,000. Well, that truck is worth like 30, 25,000.
If that. Yeah.
So that was always a tough thing. So
that's the car business.
I got a lot of those guys, but honestly, Craigslist was the one I went to too. I jump on Craigslist, and they're like, you got to set 2 appointments. No problem.
Easy.
You're selling your car on Craigslist. Hey, have you, what are you going to buy a car? Or what are you going to do about that? Oh, I don't know.
How much are you asking for that? You're asking 8,000 for it. Clean title? Yeah, it's clean title.
Yeah.
Huh. Let me see. I've got these on my lot right now for $12,000. I might be able to offer you 8 for this thing. If I bought this car from you right now and you didn't buy anything from me, what time can I have you? Dude, I'd make $200 in spiffs.
Yeah, man. The spiffs were great. Dude, we had this one vehicle. It was a Ford Excursion. It was the ugliest vehicle, ugliest shade of green you'd ever seen. And it was the longest vehicle. So Ford, they have a kind of the trunk's like a regular size, and then they got one that's like a 3-foot long trunk.
Yeah.
So they had the Ford Excursion, which is already a massive vehicle. It was a diesel, and then it had an extra 3 feet at the end of it. This thing, no matter where you parked it, was going to stick out of the parking
all
space.
It was an F-250 with a station wagon on it.
So they had this vehicle on the lot for I think 3 years, almost 3 years. They finally ended up saying, we're never going to sell this thing, and they said, you know what, this weekend $5,000 spiff on this vehicle.
We had the same thing. We had an old man. It was a brand new 2013 Dodge 1500 Laramie, and this old man bought it. He bought it 2 weeks ago, and his back started hurting. So he goes to his doctor, and the doctor says, what have you done different? Like, what's going on with you? He goes, well, I bought this new truck. I have to climb in and out of this truck. He goes, you're tweaking your back every time you get in and out of this truck. So he comes back to the dealership, and the dealership actually really took care of the guy. He said, we're going to get you into it. He ended up buying a Grand Cherokee, I think, Jeep Grand Cherokee, the top of the line, nice one, and in limited. And I think they really took care of the guy. They gave him close to what he paid for it. But the difference was the guy got the rebates, and I think the dealership would have to sacrifice the rebates because he only had the car a couple of weeks. He only put like 150 miles on it. Like
Okay.
it was a brand new car, but it wasn't a new car.
Right.
So I think he was going to have to sacrifice hhis rebates. So that's where the dealership was going to make their money, the $7,000 on the rebates. So they said, well, whoever sells this, is going to get, I think it was like $2,500 spiff or something, just right off of the top. It wasn't even it was a mini plus the spiff to sell it. And the reason being was, the used truck was more expensive than the new one. And we were all out there. It's Saturday, and one of the sales guys had an appointment and had pissed the guy off. And ironically, it was like the sister or the cousin of like the finance manager. And she was livid. She was, she screamed at him and she was walking out. And I ran out there and I said, I'm so sorry. I'm really so sorry about what happened. And it's not my job to do that, but I knew there was a deal there. So I ran out there. I'm like, I'm really sorry. Let me do this for you. Let me ask you something real quick. What was it that you were trying to accomplish today? She goes, well, what I really wanted was this, and the truck isn't there. And I really want, and I was like, where was your budget? Where were you trying to stay? And she goes, well, we were trying to stay at this price point. I said, perfect. I said, I have the perfect truck for you. It's this one. I said, it's used. It's not new. She goes, I don't want a used truck. I said, it's got 150 miles on it. Here's the stories we tell her. She goes, oh. I said, you wanted the running boards, the power running board. She's like, yeah. I said, it's already got it. You wanted the spray and bed liner. She's like, yeah. I said, it's already got it. You wanted the this. You wanted the that. Yeah. I said, this one's got everything that you want. What color were you looking for? She goes, it's silver. When I went with silver, I said, this one's silver. I said, let me at least show you this truck. She goes, do I get the rebates? I said, no.
Yeah, right.
You don't get the rebates, but let me see what I can do. So I showed her the truck. She was getting in her car. She was gone.
Yeah.
And what pissed me off is he still got the back end of that deal.
Huh.
He still ended up with half the deal. So I sold her the truck, and she was happy. And we didn't like shove her in it and send it on down the road. I mean, it was the finance manager's like sister or cousin or something. So like, I mean, you have to take care of this person.
Sure.
Like this was really a bad situation.
Yeah.
And we took care of her, and she was happy as a clam. And she sent people to us in the whole bit. Yeah.
That's
I know
awesome.
this is completely has nothing to do with anything we're doing,
That's
but
okay.
but it is though. It's sales, it's business. It also shows integrity and where we're at.
Yeah.
What separates you from your competitors?
I've been making websites and web applications for about 20 years, and in that time I've made several web applications and things for small businesses, for large businesses, for government agencies, and if I'm honest, a lot of people don't take time to do the extra things like the ADA checking, making sure I've had a government agency before where their whole purpose in redesigning their website was to become ADA compliant. So they were failing all their checks before. They needed the website redone, and they needed to pass these ADA checkers, and they needed it done in like 6 months. So I helped them out, got their website up and running, and within 6 months they went from failing entirely to, I think it was a 97% score on their ADA checkers, which the minimum they were looking for was a 95 or 90%. So we were, we kind of went above and beyond the standard they were looking for, and
they were happy, and they paid the bill.
They paid the bill.
Yeah,
exactly,
no,
man.
absolutely.
So,
why are you so passionate about this?
I'm kind of the millennial age where for me, I remember I'm 40. I remember 41 now, actually. I remember a time.
Is it a weird feeling?
It was weird because you live in two generations, a time before computers and a time after the internet.
Yeah.
It's so tough. So I remember
we used to have cigarettes and ashtrays at McDonald's.
I remember that stuff.
We were that generation.
You could smoke indoors and stuff like that. Or growing up,
there were no casinos in California at one point.
I'm a product of the 80s. I was born in '84, but by 80, I was about 5 or 6 by the late '80s, and even then, my parents were kicking me out of the house. Go play outside. When it's dark, come back in.
Yeah.
They
lock the door.
Yeah.
They kick you out. Lock the door.
Right.
You can't do that now.
Right, my dad, he helped build ramps for my bicycle when I was doing. So I have these sketchy ramps that are super dangerous that I would never consider building for my kids now. But back then, hey, let's get some air on this thing, man. Let's launch ourselves.
We would ride in the back of pickup trucks on the freeway.
Yeah. So there's
drink from water hoses, from random people's houses.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
it was normal.
It was normal. Yes, absolutely. And so I've identified that, with that, I kind of relate to people who can talk about technology, who grew up with only technology. So, a lot of the people after me started in the 90s and stuff like that. And they maybe don't know a lot about it, but they know that the technology is important. And the same kind of thing follows also with an older generation who really doesn't know much about the technology at all. And they just need someone to sort of help them out, and they need to get to that next level. And you have no idea how many business owners I've talked to that their website is never converted for them at all. I find that to be wild, but it's a norm for most people. They make a website and they've never got a single lead off of it. And, I got to say that my passion comes from knowing that technology can do better. The bar is so low. If I'm honest, the bar is so low that, showing people that it can do more with just a little bit of effort, we can do better. You know what I mean? You can do better. You can start to see. I remember I had a customer, man, and he was paying probably $1,500 a month to this website developer, and I was blown away. He was a sprinkler guy, and he came to my house, and he had to fix a valve.
Yes.
Fix a valve. And I thought that was the way he looked. He's like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I make websites and stuff." And he's like, obviously that works pretty well. I had a nice 2-story house at the time, and he's like, "That works out pretty well." I'm like, "Yeah, it's a good gig." And he's like, "Well, I got a web developer right now, but I was considering leaving." I'm like, "Well, okay, well, what do you do? Like, let me see your website." His website had maybe 5 pages on it.
Is that the website I built?
I hope not. It looked terrible. And I was just like, I'm like, "Okay, and how much do you pay again for this?" And he told me, he's like, "Oh, I pay about $1,500. I'm like, "I'll do it for $1,200 and I'll give you a hell of a lot better than this." And, so I ended up making him the site. I gave him another, now he has 30 pages on his site, and it's very SEO focused. And within maybe 2 months of making that site, he puts nothing into marketing. He's not put any money into Google or anything like that. Within 2 months, he got his first lead, and that month he got 3 leads. The next month he got like 4 or 5 leads, and then it was about 4 or 5 for the first 2 months.
You have what they call the Midas touch.
I hope so. Yes, when it comes to computers, that's
seriously,
certainly true.
No, and that's a good thing. That means that you're in the right space.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Like let's pick on some people for a while. Let's talk about this. Let's be real and honest. Okay, you and I both work with small business owners.
Yeah.
A lot of small business owners are not very good at being small business owners. Let's be honest. It's a sad thing.
Yeah.
As much as we try to help, 90% of them are going to be out of business. Right. It's such a statistic that it's a national statistic.
Yeah.
Like 90% of businesses will not last 10 years, and 90% of those won't last another 10 years.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we've been in the business, I'm 29 years into this. I've been out of business twice, yet I just picked myself right back up and kept going.
Yeah.
I had to get a couple of jobs in there, the mortgages and the car sales. But here I am, after all these years, still doing the same thing. You came into this thing. You haven't been in this, you said 7 years or so?
Yeah, that's when I started. I got real serious about it a couple of years ago, but about 7 years I've owned the business.
Again, you've got the Midas touch. You understand how to make these pieces work. Let me tell you, I built some really crappy websites for some very great businesses, 20 years ago. We used to do the Noble Way Pest Control's website.
Hey.
You know the Noble Way.
Yeah.
Miles Noble. Great guy. His website used to be horrible. I built that. It was a horrible website. That was like 2003, 2004. I was 22 years old.
Sure.
I was a kid,
Yeah.
And long story short, you practice.
Yeah.
You get pretty good after a while.
Yeah, my first websites were awful too when I was learning how to do it. We
used to build them on we built his website using Homestead. You remember Homestead?
Oh yeah.
Justin Kitch. He sold it to Intuit.
Oh man, that's the money right there.
He sold that and disappeared. Justin Kitch.
I got to say the most valuable thing that you can get in my time is on top of experience and putting that time in and learning your craft is a mentor. A good mentor. I had a good mentor. I happened to, I had a job a while ago, and I knew a guy who he was laid off from HP, essentially. HP downsized, gave everyone golden handshakes, took his and left. And he was responsible for building some of the like a
Mainframes,
lot of the printers.
Yeah,
Actually, he built from scratch. He would design them out and build them out and stuff like that. And I got to tell you, I've known the guy now for about 15 years, and I'm great with computers. He has forgotten more than I know. I mean, to have that guy over you for a while, kind of always, he was more, you have the carrot or you have the stick, and he was always more stick, but it really shapes you. You get tired of getting that stick all the time, and it's just like you do get better, and I don't want to disappoint and stuff like that. So the work that I was always doing, I always had this sort of bar that I was trying to hit, and when you work like that for so many years, it just starts to become your normal. So you're always now like, it's like do it nice or do it twice. Right. And so I try to do it nice the first time, because
seriously, dude,
I can live by that mantra. It's how I grew up.
My dad used to tell me, my dad was not a good father. Like, he was not at all. But I can tell you the one thing that he taught me was my work ethic.
Yeah.
And he always just said, it's easier to do it right the first time.
Yeah. You spend way less time. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
It's nice to have that sort of, and it's tough too, because in the industry that I'm in, it's not common. I go to meetings. I go to Better Business Bureau. I go to Chamber of Commerce meetings. I go to all these places, and the vast majority of the time, I'm the only digital marketer that's got these kind of skills. I'm the only website developer and stuff like that, and people pursuing to make applications and stuff by a wide margin. I mean, there's some people, like bookkeeping is one of those other ones that, like, I always meet a very few amount of those people wherever I go, and I've been doing this now for at least a few years, going to these meetings and stuff. And I can tell you, I've maybe met 2 other people like me. And I can tell you that they didn't know what I knew, not by a wide margin.
And again, I want to pick on business owners, because it's, we all need that taste of humble pie every now and again. Mm-hmm. That's what makes us better. And, I've always said the ones who teach can't.
Yeah.
The coaches, they're a business coach. They don't know anything about running a business, and now they're a coach.
Yeah.
Math teacher wanted to be a finance somebody, but they couldn't, so now they teach math. The guy who works at the high school teaching geometry was the guy who failed out of college to be an engineer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not disrespectful. They just didn't have, they weren't up to snuff, as they say.
Sure.
So, I think that you've got what they call the Midas touch, where I mean, just the conversation that we're having, not kissing your behind here. I mean, this is honest stuff. The conversation that we're having, for doing it as little as you've been doing it, you are a lot more advanced than you might realize.
I appreciate that.
No, I'm dead serious. It's just that you understand what the end result should be, but most people don't.
Yeah.
I remember I built a website for a realtor, and I had everything done, and it was done, and sent it over to him. I said, go through it, make sure everything is good. And she comes back, she said, everything is good. I must have once and twice and 3 times and 4 times, and we updated it. So I was up for, I don't know, 2 or 3, 4 months. And then she calls me one day and she goes, I'm cutting you loose. I'm bringing somebody else on to do the website. And I go, well, why? And she goes, you forgot to put my phone number on there.
Oh man, that's unfortunate. Yeah. I worry about that.
We've all done it, dude.
Yeah. This is one of those situations too, though, where, attention to detail is very important. However, at the same time, if her website's getting a lot of leads, she's not letting you go. You know what I mean? And that's kind of that's where I'm at now with the customers I have. I focus on getting them the leads, and not just that, but showing them about their leads too. For instance, one of my customers, he goes through a very seasonal situation with his business, where certain times of the year there is just a lot more customers available to him. Mm-hmm. So I'm telling him, he wants to, his kind of the way he's operated in the past is he gives the same amount every month to marketing. And now we've got this spreadsheet going over the last, 12 months where I'm showing him, hey, it looks like in these 4 months, your leads cost you about as little as they can possibly cost you versus the rest of the year. So rather than putting the same amount every month, save your money for those 4 months, dump it all in during that time when your leads are the cheapest, right? And then when they're, in these other times, you can rein it in, still invest, but definitely don't spend as much. And this is strategy. You know,
Yes,
you're
yes.
strategizing. Hey,
Yeah.
if your customer costs you less in January, then that's when you need to buy them the most, right? Don't be
Yeah.
afraid then.
Yeah.
Save your money for that
Yeah.
then.
And you can always schedule the workout too. Schedule the appointments
Yeah.
out to the slow times.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the other side of it though is if you've got those leads already, you know, you could go to, you know, Jim and Diane and say, you know, you were thinking about getting that roof done. You know, what I would actually advise is let's do this. You know, I'm going to save you 10% on that roof, but let's do it in June, and that's like the slowest time, right? So now he's got those clients backed up, especially if the client is, you know, let's say it's a salon. You know, let's say it's a salon, so they're coming in every 90 days to get their hair done or their Botox or whatever, right? I mean, you could literally, you could schedule these people with the original leads.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, the other side is helping them to monetize everything too. Is, you know, whenever you have a lead, always follow up with them. Hey, can you leave me a review? You know, I appreciate all that stuff.
We use, reviews are gold.
Yeah, and then also I'll give, you know, especially for bigger products and stuff, like your example of a roof. Hey, if you know anyone who needs a roof, I'll give you $250. You know what I mean?
We give 20%.
Yeah, I just say, you know, whatever is comfortable for the business. But yeah, you know, that way you just keep getting
All
those
it
referrals.
costs me is $250.
That's about the cheapest. Yeah, for a product that expensive, man, that's a great deal. So, you know, but yeah, you know, whatever you're comfortable with, and make it worth it to people for sure. But you know, there's a lot of people who do a lot for between $250 and $500. So yeah, man, that's, you know, it's a good. And I gotta say,
a customer sends me a $5,000 client. I'm like, here, I got $1,000 for you. I only need to give you $250.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it depends on, it's the more you give them, the more likely you are to get that lead. So for whatever it's worth, and this is where also knowing how much it costs. So if you can say, okay, I can jump on Google and I can start running ads, and I know that my ad, it will, in the end of it, it costs me $300 or $350 per lead, per person that gave me information. Because not all I hate to call them leads, I like to call them conversions, because a lead suggests that that's a customer that's going to close.
I get it.
They're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to have a good close rate too. But so to get that information,
we all know Glenn Ross though. You know, the leads aren't weak, you're weak.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah, and hopefully you're converting well, you know. But at the end of the day, though, if it costs you $350 to get someone's information, yeah, you can you know, then you know it's worth it to at least that much as a referral. Hey, I'll give you $350 because I can get it over here for $350.
Yeah,
you know, what are your costs? How much are your customers actually costing you on which platforms? So
that's actually it's really, you see, we don't have any marketing out. We don't market.
Yeah, but it sounds like you're growing.
We're growing insanely fast.
Yeah,
it's been gnarly. I'm wondering if we were to actually throw money at this thing. I mean, we are. I mean, literally every penny that's coming in is going right back out.
Sure.
But I mean, if we were to actually pour money into marketing, I wonder how it would convert. I don't know.
You know, and again, this is about, a lot of it's about timing. You're going to convert better in certain times a year. I imagine that, you know,
we're not even through our first year. We're at 26,000 subscribers.
That's incredible.
That's
too.
Nuts.
Yeah, that is nuts. You guys are growing astronomically. You know, and for a paper magazine too. I mean, it's something that, you know, I would consider to be, you know, something of the past. But for you, you're making it work. It's amazing to me that people are picking this thing up. They're seeing what it's about. They're checking out your website. They're checking out your media. And they're really responding very well, you know. And looking at it too, I could see why. You know what I mean? This is
the product is a very good product.
It's a very good product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
not thrown together. It doesn't look like it's Sacramento News and Review or just a newspaper.
No.
Yeah.
This is not something I find when I'm just, you know, for free leaving the grocery store or something like that.
Yeah.
This is definitely a quality piece. And honestly, the content though is good for businesses, and I see why you're growing, because you're really supporting the small businesses. It's not so much the medium, you know, it's not that it's the magazine, it's not that it's the website, it's what is it saying, and you have stuff of quality to say. So whether it's in, you know, I
think the other side of it though is, I didn't want to interrupt you.
You're good.
I think the other side of it though is when a small business owner, let's just be honest, because you're in this space, okay? You have a restaurant, and the restaurant's trying to get people in the door. This restaurant costs $100,000, $125,000 a month to run.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're trying to run the restaurant. Their margins are insanely thin. Okay. I mean, they're like not making any money. They might actually lose money the first 2 years, right?
Sure.
So they're going to have to pour money into marketing, and they're trying to figure out, where am I going to put my money? They're looking at social media. They're buried with social media. They're competing with everybody else.
Yeah.
They've got their website. They've got Google. They've got Yelp. But again, they're competing with everybody else, especially if you're a new business. You're going to open a sushi restaurant, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you have no reviews. But you got Sushi Como, you've got Mikuni, you've got all these different sushi places,
Sure.
Arigatos, you've got all these different. So you're thinking to yourself, like, why would I go to this one that has 4 reviews where I can go to this one that has 1,400 reviews? Where is that person going to market themselves? Something like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's affordable.
Yeah.
You stand out from everybody else. The rule of thumb in marketing is just do what everyone else isn't doing.
Yeah.
If everyone's over there, then go over here. If everyone's over here, then go over there.
Yeah.
It's literally that simple.
Yeah.
But you have to figure out how to do that. And the argument is, oh, well, I've advertised in magazines and it's expensive and it doesn't produce, it doesn't convert. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. No one's going to go into the magazine and go, oh, I want sushi. But they're going to go into the magazine and they're going to go, oh, there's a new sushi place.
Right.
And then when they're talking to their wife or husband, what do you want for dinner on Saturday night? Well, I found this new sushi place.
Yeah.
Really? Is it any good? I don't know. Let's pull it up online. And they pull it up online. It's got like 14 reviews, and they seem to all be good. It looks like let's try it.
Yeah.
But it started here.
Yeah. Yeah. They say if you can't fix it, feature it. So if you're brand new,
I haven't heard that. I like that.
If you can't fix it, feature it. So like if you're a brand new thing, then say, hey, we're new. Come try us. It's a brand new thing. You've never had anything like this before. Come experience this newness. You know what I mean? That's what you're saying. If everyone's left, you go right. So you take what everyone else isn't doing and you try to feature it, right? So yeah, man, that's one of my favorite things. Like,
I love it.
Can't fix it, feature it. That's a huge thing.
I love it. I'm gonna do an article on that. I like that. All right, Michael Huckleberry, Web Spinner SEO.com, 916-508-6763. Dude, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Wealth of knowledge as always. Every time I bring somebody in here, I learn like 50 things. And great energy, great conversation. You've been here like 2 hours. It doesn't feel like it. And awesome stuff, dude.
Yeah, no,
Awesome.
I appreciate the conversation, man. I've learned a ton
Absolutely.
too. I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
47 minutes for this recording. Unbelievable.
Really?
47 minutes.
That's great.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.